with it.
Now you feel good?
Yeah.
So do I. Okay. So we're here at Omar's house. He's the lead guitarist for Chancro Duro, actually the only guitarist. He's going to be playing with Brujeria tomorrow at the Teleférico here in Quito in a concert that is entitled Fuck Donald Trump. So let's start with that, Omar. Explain why fuck Donald Trump.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, it's been like a subject or a topic of controversy, nowadays. A lot of people feel very, very uncomfortable with what Donald Trump said in the past and probably continues saying. So I do believe that, us as, Latin Americans, even, the people that live in the United States or, any other country, they do feel insulted by what Donald Trump said a couple of times, and I do believe that is the reason why there's a lot of things going on about it. So practically we have a big show. There's a Brujeria tour, with that name, and I think that fuck Donald Trump is pretty much what everybody feels for now. Who knows what's going to happen in politics, later on, but that's pretty much what it is.
If you had Donald Trump in front of you, what would you tell him?
I don't know. I would ask him a lot of questions. I think he's a very interesting person. I'm not like gonna punch him in the face like anybody would, But I do believe that I would ask him questions, obviously, about what he feels, as a person, as a human being. I would like to know if he's a strong human being enough to realize what he said, to apologize, in a very honest way, and probably just stop, if he becomes a president, hopefully he will not do, who knows, crazy stuff, to Latin Americans, who knows. So yeah, I will start by asking him a lot of questions. I will have a normal, well-educated conversation with him, in my opinion, but I will definitely let him know what we do feel and what I feel about, about what he feels or thinks.
Of those
right?
that are out there, who would you prefer as a person that grew up in New York? Who would you prefer to be president? Sanders, Clinton, or Trump? Or somebody else that you may have in mind?
I mean, related to politics?
Mm-hmm. As president of the United States.
I don't know. I would like Ronald Reagan to be back as a president, if I have to be honest with you. The Bush administration, was really, really hard on, on the American people. I lived in the United States all those years. I pretty much grew up there, so, the Clinton administration was also, they had a lot of things. There's a lot of conspiracy theories behind the Clinton administration. So, I don't know, if I go back in time, I would prefer, I don't know, Ronald Reagan. I think, those days were okay. As far as I know, I was, too little to know anything.
How about Sanders?
Sanders, okay, I would, yes.
Would you endorse him?
I would. I don't have anything to say behind him, right? But I would definitely, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your time in New York. You grew up in New York? Is that where you began playing music? Is that
yeah, you could say that. I mean, I've always traveled back and forth, have all my family living in Long Island, I can't remember the first time that I went to New York. I think I was way, way too little to remember. So, I always had a contact with both languages. I always had a contact with both cultures. There was a point in which I just decided to do all my school there. So, ever since high school all the way up to university, some elementary and everything. So now it's like my second home. At some point it was my hometown. That's what I called it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I live here in Ecuador, and obviously my parents are from Ecuador. I was born in Quito, so I'm 100% Ecuadorian.
When did this inspiration, or when did this knack or vocation for music begin?
Since I was a little kid, I think it was 4 years old the first time I saw a guitar and I wanted to jump on it. So. I think I was 13 or 14 years old. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. You see, I knew exactly what instrument I wanted to play. I knew how I wanted my life to be. You see, and I just had to choose, whatever style, because there were so many. But I fell in love with classical music and flamenco guitar ever since the beginning. So that's basically what I do. I am a flamenco guitarist.
Really?
In a way, it's not like I have to show you a degree. I graduated here or there, but I understand the
Johnny
styles.
McLaughlin?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Vicente
Paco-
Amigo is one of my favorite, contemporary flamenco guitar players.
Paco Belucia.
Paco Lucia, Tomatito. I mean, you name them all. I mean, I have the opportunity to study them, like some of their pieces, because that was my inspiration, really. But at the same time, as you know, flamenco is an aggressive style. When I started listening to death metal, at that same age, I think 12 or even earlier, I fell in love with it. I said, this is so incredible. Death metal, this is, extreme music.
So you found a parallelism between flamenco and what you're doing now?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I continue to play flamenco on a daily basis, like pretty much every night. So yes, I mean, I saw a connection. I mean, the level of performance was so incredibly high that I said, I mean, I started listening to bands like Cannibal Corpse and many others, like Brutal Truth, like, I could name like 1,000 bands. And, what really surprised me was the level of, how they did everything, how creative they were and how aggressive they were, and how much they knew about music in everything. They were all musicians from all different styles. They were not only metal, so.
And since you're talking about aggression or aggressivity, would
Right.
you connect this with violence in any way? Would you, what's your
Well,
stand there?
Some people definitely would connect it with violence, right?
but you?
Right, I definitely don't connect it with violence, because you can be aggressive, in your job, that means that you are very determined, that nobody can stop you. You see, you have that aggressivity or whatever.
You connect that with passion.
Absolutely, it is a passion thing, right from the deepness of your heart. You see, so what happens if you see a violent act? Is a completely different thing. You see, you're not violent with what you do, but you can be very aggressive. You see, you can. I mean, that is part of your personality, your character. You see, that will take you there.
Let's talk a little bit about what your message is through your music. What are you trying to relay to the public or to your audience?
Okay, well, I mean, it's really, not as complicated or not as, as deep as people would think, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just music. I mean, we listen to how the guitar sounds and how this sounds and how a particular, phrase in the lyrics would, fit, with what we're doing. And then the message really, starts being created or, starts becoming a message in the process.
I asked this question because when I listen to your music, you not complain, but you talk a lot about mediocre people that seem to not have a point in life.
Right.
So I think that's a strong message that you're sending to people. Can you elaborate just slightly on that?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the thing is that a lot of people, they live the way they want to live, okay? But they don't see anything beyond that point, It's like they don't think about tomorrow. They don't think even about what they're doing, okay? But here's the thing, we all have that. We have all been there, you see? Every time that we say, okay, we talk about mediocre people, is a reflection of us at the same time. So it's so funny at the beginning when we start saying, that guy is so mediocre. I remember I used to think that way. I used to be just like him, like not too long ago, So mediocre is not really. Let's try not to put it like like a very strong negative word. Maybe it's just a mixture of many different things.
What I see here is that you're not trying to put yourselves on above anybody else. You're trying to put yourself at the same level and trying to get them to understand that life is better than
it's absolutely like that. I mean, we're definitely at the same level of of everybody, if not below. In some areas. You see, in some areas.
That's hard to admit.
It's hard to admit, absolutely.
Coming from a famous musician here in Ecuador.
I mean, it is what we all feel. Not only me. Every time that we talk as friends, we all are on exactly the same page. That's why we are so united. That's why we are so solid.
However, through your music, I perceived some kind of aggression towards politicians. Even heard you talk about the Asamblea Nacional of Ecuador.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little bit what you're trying to say through these words?
Right. Well, I think that, everybody talks and would love to talk, about these things if they had a band or they could make music and make themselves heard. You know, God knows how many musicians, how many people will speak about all these things, But there's really nothing against anything or anybody or any institution or absolutely nothing like that. I think it's just we're like the voice of the people, who would love to say these things, and sometimes through music, we are doing it.
Can we say that you're trying to inspire people to be better? And
We're-
which is something that you probably want to be as well?
Yes, to be better and to understand more clearly what really goes on. You see, so
When you say that, clearly what's going on, do you see people not noticing what things that are going on?
what things like, for example, these politic things that you're telling me about. This, for example, we have a song that is related to the bus drivers, who just, they go from one city to another. Sometimes, or most of the time, no, I'm not going to say most of the time, but half of the time at least, they're very responsible. They kill people, so many people. So is the, the gremio de transportistas, that we we write about, and we show images about, so people, they relate to it, and they completely agree. They say, I can't believe that these people can get away with it. Some of these bus drivers kill God knows how many people in a car accident. They run away, and then maybe they get caught, but who knows if they actually go to jail.
Is anybody else getting away with shit?
There you go.
Who else in your that you see clearly they're getting away with stuff that they should be held accountable for?
I think, people that dominate these things, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's not only in this country, but think about judges, think about, all these, even lawyers,
Multinational corporations of the
Multinational
U.S. How do you
corporations,
feel about
absolutely.
them coming and extracting all the resources from us? And
That's a great question. Well, I feel exactly the same. I can tell you how much I think about it, and how pissed off I feel, and how angry and upset I feel about the fact that the American government and, the entire American, entire country as the United States, to say that, how they do things, thinking about their own interests. You see how they invade countries. I mean, how people feel about these things. It's a touchy subject sometimes. It's incredible. So, the United States absolutely, they obviously do a lot of things that, affect us in a lot of negative ways. And people don't see it that way sometimes, especially Latin Americans, that we live in the United States, we think that everything is great, it is a free country, but
it's
hell no, it is definitely not.
Let's talk a little bit about Chancro Duro, because it's the most famous heavy metal band here in Ecuador and probably in surrounding or neighboring countries. Tell me a little bit about how, since you've been in Chancro Duro, what are they doing? What's their message? How they came together?
Okay, well, ever since I started playing with them, our idea, our objective was to improve as musicians and as people too. We wanted to give a better message than before. Because before, nothing was very clear. People didn't know what we really wanted to do or what the band wanted to do. It was just noisy music. You see, but for whatever reason, people liked, how aggressive that sounded. Again, not the violent thing, but how aggressive that the band sounded. Talking about many, many, many years ago. So now, obviously, as grown people, you could say that they have, great ideas for the future of the band. Knowing that the band comes from an underground scene. That we're not, singing about love or anything, but these are normal, regular people, that we have this idea and we know that it sells. We know that we like to do it, we love to do it. We have the people that listens to our music and to what we have to offer.
What are these ideas for the future?
Ideas for the future, I mean, we have many. One of them is to, make it in the U.S. market, go to Europe like some other bands have been able to do. But the thing is that we don't want to spend our own money doing these things. We want to be big enough so they can call us up and they can tell us, what, we need you here because you are a great band and we want you to play with us in our big festival, say Berlin, who knows, New York, who knows. So that's our real final objective. We could make it to another country, with our own money, knocking on many, many, many doors. But we want our name to be bigger than what it is here, and people, in these countries like the U.S., Canada, or Europe, they will know us, they will call us. That's what we want. We have a lot of followers in Spain. Just think about it. All these Ecuadorian people that are in Spain, all Latin Americans that are in Spain, in Madrid, they would love to see us perform there. Not only once, but many, many, many times. So those are some of the objectives. We want to keep recording. We want to keep, making music. That's what we want. We will never change our style. So that's another one of our objectives, is to never change our style, to continue, doing exactly the same thing that we do, which is grind, noise, metal. And that's what we're going to do for as long as the band lasts.
Can you explain a little bit about, or talk a little bit about the other members of the band?
Right, the other members, well, I could say so many things, but, I can tell you, the singer, for example, Lenin, he's part of the metal scene, the part of the folklore, you see, of the metal of Ecuador, you see, of the rock, heavy rock in Ecuador. So, for everything that he went through when he was younger, yes, he had a very rough time, very rough life. He had many, many drug problems that, did a lot of damage, in him, in his family, his, social network, in his life in general. So he had a lot of problems. Now I just admire him so much. You get a chance to really talk to him, sit down and talk to him, he will blow your mind away. He has, he remembers every single moment of his life almost. That's something absolutely incredible, considering the fact that he went through a lot of problems, right? So yeah, I mean, he's just a great person. I admire him a lot, just as much as I admire Diego, who's the bass guitarist of the band. He's one of the first in the band too. You see him, you will never think that he plays the bass guitar, right? But he is just fearless. He's great. He's great at what he does. Even though he never studied music or anything, he dominated.
He's a natural.
He's a natural. He dominates his instrument in his own way, which is something that is incredible. I mean, you can tell him, what? Let's try to, why don't you, for example, you can tell him to take some classes. He will never do that because he knows at the level that he is and what he does, he can blow your mind away immediately. Even if you're a bass teacher, for example, you could see him, you'll be like, okay, well, that's, really unique, you see. And the drummer, Jimmy, he's also very, very, very good at what he does. He had many bands before. One of them was Murder. This is the other project that I have, the other band that I have. He was the drummer of that band. He was a death metal drummer, so he came from that band with a lot of knowledge and a lot of personality in the domination of his instrument, which is the drums. So he joined Chancro Duro when I think probably months after the band was founded. So he started playing the drums, and until now he's just I cannot think of anybody else better than him for this particular band and for this particular genre. Right?
As a whole, Chancro Duro, what is it inspired by? What groups? What movements? What is the inspiration of Chancro Duro?
I don't know, some old school bands. I mean, because the guys are older than me, and then a lot of people that go to the shows. Yes, but the thing is, they what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the inspiration. Where does the inspiration come
from? The inspiration. Well, I mean, everybody has their own.
As a whole.
Yeah, as a whole. I mean, it's very difficult because I come from a death metal background. I like very, very extreme music, very technical music, and as fast as you can possibly play it, and the most challenging music ever. So that's the reason why I joined Chancro, in order to push them forward. to do these things with me, along with me. They have been able to, get real fast, also. But, every one of them, they listen to many other different kinds of music too. Other different kinds of music, inspiration. I mean, it's very hard to say. I mean,
Is there one group that
we always talk about, for example, our Iron Maiden. You see, with my
Iron
other
Maiden.
bands, we talk about, say, I don't know, Cannibal Corpse, DSI, Suffocation, other, bands. But here with them, we talk about Iron Maiden. We talk about probably Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. Our manager, he's very, very old school. So, we have, I mean, to answer your question, probably that's what it is. Those are the bands that we, AC/DC. So, those are the bands that we praise a lot.
How did this concert with Brujeria come about? How did it come together? What happened there?
I think, well, our manager, had a talk with the guy who was bringing Brujeria, right? He mentioned that, obviously Chancro Duro, would like to be part of it, and he saw, and everybody, saw why, this band should be, in this particular show. You could put like any other band, I'm pretty sure they would, give a great show, but, we're like the closest band to their, to what they do, here in Ecuador, that, it seems to be very, very logical for a lot of people for these two bands to be part of one show together.
Have you ever talked to them? I'm sure you have communication with them. Have you and have you talked about why it's called "Fuck Donald Trump" and from there?
Well, I haven't had the chance, but I had the chance to talk to them like many years ago. So not this particular occasion, but yeah, many years ago I saw them live. Because each one of their members, they belong to other different bands, top bands in the world, like Dimmu Borgir, Curry the Filth, Nile, and Carcass. So yes, in many different occasions, different shows, different festivals, I had the chance to talk to them individually, in many different occasions, definitely. But this time, yes, I mean, we will definitely, I mean, one of the ideas, or one of my ideas, what we would like to do is to come up with another show, with them, maybe in a different tour, maybe in the same tour, maybe in a different country, you see, or maybe in the near future, you see, because I mean, we're both bands are very similar. We're alike in many aspects. So it would be great to just join them and just keep doing that. Who knows, many different places and shows. Yeah.
Earlier, we were talking about drugs and the misconception there is among a lot of people that feel that musicians need to be drug addicts.
Right.
What? Tell me a little bit about that, because especially a lot of people have the idea that heavy metal bands are even more misguided or really drug addicts, and that they couldn't be musicians any other way.
Right. Well, I don't agree with that. Number one. Drugs are bad. For some people, are really good. So how do you find a middle point? Some people will tell you honestly, what, drugs are good. Drugs are good for me. They keep me alive. They do this for my mother, for my father. Who knows? What kind of drugs they're talking about or they're taking. Okay, so that's really weird and funny. To say that a person that uses drugs will do one thing or perform one in whatever way, or would be a criminal at the end, because that's what people think. So this is a very individual thing. Drugs will do one thing to you. You take something, if I take the same thing, it will do something probably completely different to me. It will probably kill me or make me aggressive or violent, or who knows. Okay, so at the end of the day, you want to generalize this type of things. It's very difficult to do so, because
so what would you tell these people that stereotype musicians as drug consumers? Let's not call them drug addicts, because that sounds kind of
right. Well,
bad.
I will ask them to maybe ask inside their own family circle, and they will definitely find at least some family member who is not a rock follower, who may take who knows what drugs and probably makes a big cocktail every night. Okay. So that's what I would tell them, to do first. Try to look at themselves in the mirror and try to look, their environment, their background, and everything, and then, with that you can, judge, if that's what they want to do, just judge. But, it's very, it's a very open topic. People will have many many different opinions. My opinion is that drugs are, like I told you, good for some people, good for some others, and it's very hard to just say people who listen to rock, are drug addicts, or people who are famous are, drug users, or people who just, I don't know, people who are sick are drug users. Think about it, right? All sick people are drug users. They have to be.
So all the Chancro Duro members are from Ecuador.
Yes, they are.
How
Yes,
do
they
they
are.
feel about politically what's going on here in Ecuador, and how does politics treat the band? How does this combine?
Right. Well, for starters, we try not to talk about it, like, or not to like really sit down and have a conversation about it. We just may come to one day and be like, okay, I just heard this in the news. What do you think? And say, oh, okay, I don't know. I don't think this will work. I think we're in a big, crisis. I think this is not going to work. But it never goes beyond that. You see, it never goes beyond that. Sometimes when we make lyrics, when we write lyrics, or when we create lyrics, we may touch some of these topics, but never too deeply, because that's the thing. I mean, we don't want anybody to think that we are really going against, or really going hard against somebody, or a name, or institution, or a country, or a president, or anything.
How does the government treat heavy metal bands in general? Do you find openness? What's your position on that?
Right. Well, absolutely not enough. Not enough openness. I could honestly tell you that there is really not a lot of support, from the authorities, as much as we deserve. That's my honest opinion. I think this should improve. I think this should improve. I mean, we are part of the entertainment industry, and this is something that maybe some of these authorities don't get to understand. At the end, they just think that we're just noisy people wanting to party and get drunk, and that's absolutely idiotic to think in that way. You see.
So there is a misconception in
Yes.
general from the elites, maybe the right-wing politicians, towards metal musicians and the people that listen to this kind of music because of the way they dress, their long hair. or
Right. I mean, we're
something.
talking about here in Ecuador. Absolutely, absolutely. Because I haven't seen this anywhere else. To tell the truth, maybe in Peru a little bit, but not even there. So it's very surprising. It's very shocking for me. It makes me feel uncomfortable as a musician. And it makes me feel uncomfortable knowing that we could have more shows. You see, people could enjoy more shows. The bands could finally have the openness to perform 5, 6, 7 times a year in different cities or in different festivals. But I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's going to happen in the near future, or anytime soon, at least, because like I told you, these people, I don't think they understand that we are in the entertainment industry. We're just trying to entertain, and if there's somebody who misbehaves in any show, it's completely normal at the end, because people misbehave in just any show of any different kind of music.
They misbehave in soccer.
Right. I mean, go to a salsa show, forget it. I mean, you will see street fights, you will see bottles flying, depending on what kind of show it is, at what time it is, or what city or what town it is. So
As well as in soccer stadiums. So
there you go, soccer stadiums. I mean, you name it. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We should have more support. This people, I don't want to call them people, but they should really understand what we're trying to do and give us the support, because there's a lot of potential, not only the music, but also the crowds. They're becoming more mature, they're becoming better, and I think they need to see this.
However, we were talking about the progress that you've seen under the socialist government. Can you briefly talk about that? Because I notice you're not too politician.
You said
The progress that you've seen
Right.
with the socialist government.
Yes. I've seen progress, slow progress, because I think it's natural to see progress. Otherwise, I don't know what planet you will be living in, right? So there has to be natural progress, and I think that's the progress that I'm seeing, you see? But yes, I do believe that the efforts that the government is making and is doing in order to push the country forward, right, I think are are getting to be positive. I think later on they will be positive, and people will definitely see the changes, the positive changes.
So we were talking about advances with socialist governments in Latin America and how the U.S., with their personal interests, has tried to undermine these things. Could you, briefly make a comment on that?
Right. I think, well, the United States, they are taking advantage of the problems that are happening, in Latin America and in all countries. You see, so they take advantage of it. Obviously they benefit from it in many many ways. I'm not a socialist or an economist, but it is very evident how they can benefit from the disgrace of other countries.
Does it piss you off what's going on against Dilma Rousseff, for example? She was like a fighter, rebel fighter, fighting for the causes of the people, the Bolivarian Revolution. Do you get pissed off because you see the U.S. pounding on these people and not letting them do what they want to do?
Well, yes. Yeah, even though I don't know much about it, I know that that's exactly what is going on. I mean, it's my personal feel, my personal perception. I don't have to read hours, on this news to know that there is something really really bad going on there, illegal stuff going on. The United States is really is definitely behind these things. And this just one president, this one lady, who's been accused of many many things. At the end, she will never be able to prove them wrong. She probably will never be able to present the real proofs and everything, to speak to her public, about it openly and honestly, because they will not let her do that. Let her do it. So obviously she's just behind everything. She's oppressed just as everybody else, and unfortunately, the general impression is that yes, there is some real evil you see behind all these things.
Just to finish off, do you have a
Sure.
message that you would want to relate to the people that listen to your music, and to the young people in general, to everybody in general?
Yes. Well, the message is try to be authentic. You see, try to be yourself. That's really when you can win over yourself and over everybody else. You see, you will not be oppressed by any government or any institution or anybody if you are authentic and you know what you really want. And that's what I think people don't have. You need to know what you want in order to know where you're headed, in order to know where you're going to be at the end. You need to know exactly what you want, you see. So if you want to listen to metal, that's exactly what you have to do. You see, don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. That's what you feel, connected to. Do it, and do it in a way that you can support everybody else too. Do it in a way that the bands can feel the honest support from the scene, the honest support from the people, not just because some concert is expensive or some concert is free. You see, you have to be authentic. You have to know that if you love metal music, you want to see a band, you have to support the scene, and you have to support the people that listen to it. In that way, you respect what you are and who you are.
In 3 words, a message to socialist leaders in Latin America?
Well, I think everything will be said. I think everything will be said. Everything, all the things that the people expect from them or do not expect from them are at the end going to be true and very real. So they have to understand, that they're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with people, and they have to be human first.
In 3 words, a message to Washington, the government?
I could start by saying fuck Donald Trump, but he's not the president or anything. But well, the second thing I can tell you is that Donald Trump can go fuck himself too. And number 3, fuck Donald Trump.
And how about Washington?
Obama?
Obama?
Well, I don't know. Well, Obama really is the president now. He's the leader of the world, to some, for some people, he is the leader of the world. Could be worse. Yeah, could be worse. So that's my honest opinion.
Okay, thank you very much,
Okay.
Omar.
Sure, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.